There's a truth buried beneath every romantic story, every wedding vow, every love song, and most men will never hear it spoken aloud. It hides beneath smiles, it dances in flirty eyes, it whispers in soft voices that say, I love you. But the truth is this: a man's value isn't in his soul, his heart, or his dreams. It's in what he can provide. Calvin Reid doesn't sugarcoat this. He rips the curtain back and shows what lies underneath the show. He says the harsh reality is that a man is only as good as his utility, not to himself, not to God, but to her, the woman he gives his name, time, body, energy, and resources to. She's not in love with him. She's in love with what he does for her. The proof is everywhere, if you're willing to see it. Watch how quickly her warmth turns to frost when the money runs dry. Look at how respect evaporates the second a man admits he's struggling. Most men keep quiet about their pain because they already know, if they speak it, they lose her. And no man wants to watch the woman he loves look at him like he's weak. From the time he's a boy, he's fed a narrative. Be strong, work hard, be dependable, sacrifice, protect, provide. These are the standards of manhood, not because they make him whole, but because they make him useful to others. When women say they want a real man, they don't mean someone moral or kind. They mean someone who earns, someone who leads, someone who doesn't complain, someone who absorbs all the emotional chaos around him and never flinches. They don't want to hear about his fears. They don't care about his past. They want results. And the moment he fails to deliver, gone. Silent treatments, cold bedroom, passive aggression, disinterest, sometimes outright abandonment. They say they loved him, but the moment his value dips, their love evaporates, like it was never real to begin with. Calvin Reid calls this the transactional lie. It's the lie that says love is unconditional, when it never is. It's built on silent terms and unspoken contracts. She doesn't have to say it out loud. Her actions say it for her. You're only valuable to her as long as you serve a function. Now here's what most men don't realize. Women don't consciously think this way. They feel it. It's instinct. Thousands of years of survival taught women to look for providers, leaders, winners. They're drawn to men who dominate their environment. Not just because they admire them, but because it's safe. A strong man equals protection. A weak man equals danger. But in the modern world, this instinct turns toxic. It means that even if a man is kind, faithful, and generous, none of it matters if he slips for even a moment. One missed paycheck, one layoff, one vulnerable confession, and suddenly, she doesn't see him the same. And the worst part, he knows it. He sees it in her eyes. That flicker of disappointment, that subtle pullback, that drop in tone. It's not dramatic, it's quiet, but it cuts deep. Because now he's not a hero anymore. He's a burden, a disappointment, a problem. And she didn't have to scream. She just had to stop smiling. That's the brutal reality men live in. They're not allowed to fall apart. They're not allowed to break down. They're not allowed to show fear. Because if they do, they're punished with indifference, withdrawal, or abandonment. Calvin Reid doesn't say this to attack women. He says it because it's real. It's happening to millions of men who have no one to turn to because they were taught that their only worth comes from being strong. This leads to what Reid calls silent drowning. A man works hard. He builds, he protects, he stays strong. But inside, he's dying. He feels like a machine. He feels unseen. And yet, the more he tries to speak, the more he feels rejected. So, he stops talking, he buries it, he becomes quiet, focused, and that's when she complains. You've changed. You're not the same anymore. You're cold. You never open up. But she never noticed that every time he did open up, she shut down. Men aren't stupid. They learn quickly. And what they learn is this. To keep her happy, they must kill a piece of themselves. Now think about that. Millions of men are in relationships where they hide their truth because they know she can't handle it. Or worse, she'll lose respect for him, so they fake strength, they fake confidence, they fake control. Also, they don't lose her love. That's not love. That's performance. That's acting. And it's killing them. The brutal truth women won't admit. Most of them don't love you. They love the role you play. They love the security you give. They love the mask, not the man behind it. And if that mask slips, they leave. Some leave emotionally. Others leave physically. But either way, the moment your strength cracks, they begin to disappear. It's not a coincidence that most divorces are initiated by women. Red points this out and says, the second a man becomes emotionally visible, he becomes emotionally replaceable. Because now she sees him not as a fortress, but as a man. Flawed, tired, human. And that ruins the fantasy. She wanted Superman. She got Clark Kent. And Clark doesn't excite her. So what's the solution? Not bitterness, not anger, but clarity. Men must understand the game before they choose to play it. They must accept that many relationships are built on performance, not connection. And once they see that, they stop chasing false love. They stop begging for validation. They stop bending to please women who only love them for what they give, not who they are. Calvin Reid's message isn't to hate women. It's to wake men up. Wake them from the lie. Because until a man knows his value comes from within, He'll keep selling his soul to earn approval from people who would leave him the moment he stops performing. You're not weak for feeling pain. You're not broken for needing help. But if you expect that help to come from her, you've already lost. You have to become your own source. You have to become your own savior. Because no one else is coming. And that's the first brutal truth. Love is supposed to be unconditional. That's the fairy tale. That's the dream. But the brutal truth Calvin Reid exposes is this. A man never receives love without a condition. It may not be written down, it may not be spoken out loud, but it always exists. The condition is this. You must keep performing. The moment a man stops meeting her expectations, her love starts fading. It doesn't matter how long they've been together. It doesn't matter what he's sacrificed. If she no longer feels like he adds value to her life, she starts detaching. This is not love. This is an exchange. And the price of love, his strength, his consistency, his silence, his provision, and his protection. Calvin Reid calls this the love contract. The modern woman signs it with invisible ink. It says, as long as you make me feel secure, satisfied, and admired, I'll love you. But the moment you show weakness, struggle, or failure, I reserve the right to pull back. Most men don't see the contract, they feel it. It shows up when she starts criticizing him for things she once admired. It shows up when her tone shifts, her intimacy drops, and her patience evaporates. It shows up when her respect fades without warning, and he's left wondering what changed. The answer, she no longer sees him as valuable. He slipped up, he stopped performing. He broke the unspoken contract, and here's the dark truth. Most women don't even know they do this. It's not always malicious. It's survival instinct. Deep in her subconscious, she's wired to seek strength, direction, and certainty in a man. When she senses those are gone, her attraction dies. She doesn't choose it, she feels it. And once it dies, she rarely revives it. This is why men who open up emotionally, thinking it will bring closeness, often see the opposite result. They cry once and see her attraction dip. They ask for support and feel her pulling away. They show vulnerability and get punished for it, because her love comes with a condition. Never let me see you fall apart. That's why Calvin Reid warns men, don't confuse emotional support with emotional dependence. If a man starts relying on her for validation, strength, or peace, he's finished. She might comfort him once, maybe twice, but if it becomes a pattern, she leaves, either physically or mentally. She didn't sign up to carry him. She signed up to be carried. And the moment the roles reverse, the relationship breaks. So what's a man supposed to do? Reid gives the answer in one line. Be your own mountain. Don't collapse in front of her. Don't beg for understanding. Don't expect her to nurture your wounds. That's not her role. And she doesn't want it. If she's forced to mother you, she can't desire you. You can't be both child and man in her eyes. This is a harsh truth, but it's true. Women don't admit it. Society doesn't teach it, but men live it every day. Every man has felt the moment her eyes changed, the moment her warmth vanished, the moment he knew she doesn't see me the same anymore. And he didn't cheat, he didn't lie, he just slipped. That's all it took. Because her love wasn't rooted in him. It was rooted in how he made her feel. And that feeling is always conditional. Women say they want honesty, but give them honesty, and watch how quickly they shrink from it. They say they want realness, but show them your real pain, and they go cold. They say they want communication, but open up too much, and they lose attraction. It's a trap. And most men fall into it with good intentions. They want to be close, they want to be understood. They want a woman who sees them, not just their role. But what they get instead is punishment for being human. So Reid flips the script. He tells men to build in silence. Don't talk, show, don't explain, win. Don't beg, walk. If you want to be respected, don't collapse. Don't plead. Don't make her your therapist, your mother, or your savior. That's not her role. And if you force her into it, you kill her desire for you. Because desire comes from admiration, and admiration dies when a man becomes emotionally dependent. Most men confuse love with comfort. They think, if I show her my heart, she'd love me more. But for many women, the opposite happens. She wants to feel his power, not his pain, his certainty, not his confusion. That's what makes her feel safe. That's what keeps her attracted. And if he loses that, he loses her. So the real question is, can a man ever be loved without condition? Calvin Reid answers that with chilling clarity. Not by most women. The only way to be loved without condition is to love yourself first. Build your own strength. And never expect a woman to carry what you were designed to carry yourself. A woman may stand beside you. She may support your mission. But the moment you turn her into the mission, you've lost the game. She doesn't want to be your purpose. She wants to follow your purpose. And if you don't have one, she won't stick around to help you find it. So what's the solution? Stop seeking unconditional love from a woman. Start building unconditional strength in yourself. The man who does that doesn't fear her love disappearing, because he doesn't rely on it for survival. He doesn't fear her walking away, because his life doesn't fall apart if she does. He doesn't collapse under pressure, because he already carried himself through darker storms before she came. That's the man women follow. That's the man they stay with. Not because he begs, not because he opens up too much, but because he moves with direction, focus, and power, and she feels that it pulls her in, it calms her chaos, it centers her storm. But it all starts with a man who refuses to be dependent on her love, because once you realize her love has conditions, you stop gambling your soul to earn it. You become the mountain, and the mountain never begs. Nice guys finish last. It's not a joke, it's not a meme, it's a warning, and Calvin Reed spells it out. Nice is not the same as strong. A nice man pleases. He tiptoes. He adapts. He apologizes for being masculine. He gives her everything she wants, and still loses her. Why? Because deep down, she doesn't want to lead. She wants to follow a man who can lead himself, with or without her. The man who gets respect never begs for it. The man who gets love never chases it. And the man who gets loyalty never tries to earn it by being nice. The brutal truth. Most women don't even like nice guys. They tolerate them. They use them. They keep them around when they're tired of toxic men, but they don't desire them. Desire isn't born from comfort. It's born from tension, mystery, power. The nice guy removes all of that. He puts her on a pedestal. He bends his back trying to keep her happy. He walks on eggshells so he doesn't upset her. And in doing so, he kills the one thing that keeps a woman drawn in. Respect. Without respect, there is no desire. And without desire, there is no loyalty. Calvin Reed calls it the nice guy trap. It's when a man becomes so afraid of losing her, he loses himself. He suppresses his opinions. He softens his tone. He agrees when he should stand firm. And she sees it. She feels it. And slowly, her attraction dies. Not because he's bad, not because he's unworthy, but because he's weak, and weakness repels her at the core. The world tells men, just be kind, be understanding, be open. She'll love that. But what it doesn't say is this: if kindness comes from fear, it reeks of desperation, and women smell it a mile away. She wants the man who can tell her no without fear. The man who says what he means and means what he says. The man who doesn't flinch when she tests him. The man who doesn't explain himself like a child needing approval. Because when a man stands firm, she feels safe, even when she's angry. The nice guy avoids conflict. The strong man doesn't fear it. The nice guy overcommunicates. The strong man speaks once, and lets his actions speak louder. The nice guy believes love is earned through the strong man knows love without respect is slavery. So what does a woman really want? Not the man who makes her the center of his world. She wants the man who can walk away and still be whole. The ability to walk away is the highest form of leverage. It means, I love you, but I don't need you to complete me. And that terrifies her, but it also draws her in. Because now she knows, you're not like the others. You're not desperate, you're not performing. You're not afraid of loss. And that makes you rare. That makes you dangerous. That makes you unforgettable. Calvin Reed warns, if you want to keep her, be willing to lose her. That's the paradox most men never grasp. The man who clings loses everything. The man who lets go commands respect. She may test him, she may challenge him, she may push his buttons, but deep down she's watching for one thing. Will this man fold like the rest? If he does, she controls him. If he doesn't, he earns her admiration. And admiration leads to loyalty. But here's the catch. You can't fake this. You can't pretend to be detached while craving her approval. You can't act like you're in control if your whole identity revolves around her staying. Women know the difference. The only way to be that man is to actually be that man. Which means this: you must have purpose outside her. You must have values you never bend. You must have standards that filter, not chase. And most of all, you must be able to walk if the relationship demands you become something you're not. Reed tells men, you don't need more tricks, you need more spine. Because no amount of compliments, gifts, or good guy points will make her love a man she doesn't respect. And no woman respects a man she controls. You become powerful the moment you stop fearing her disappointment. You become desirable the moment you stop over. You become magnetic the moment you stop chasing and start walking in purpose. A man who is unshakable is a man who is unforgettable. He doesn't collapse when she cries. He doesn't bend when she threatens. He doesn't flinch when she withdraws affection. Because he doesn't rely on her to feel whole. She can feel it. She doesn't like how safe it makes her feel, but she can't walk away from it either. Because she finally sees a man who doesn't perform for her. He performs for himself. And that makes her want to stay near him. Not because he begged. Not because he pleased, but because he led. So here's the test. If she knew you were willing to walk away, would she still test you? If she knew your love wasn't up for negotiation, would she still manipulate? If she knew your self-respect came before her emotions, would she still try to shake you? And if the answer is no, then she never wanted a nice guy. She wanted a man who carries himself with calm power, a man who doesn't confuse softness with weakness, a man who gives love, but never trades it for peace. And the minute you become that man, everything changes. You no longer fear her silence. You no longer break under her moods. You no longer lose sleep over her pulling away. Because now, you know the game, and more importantly, you know your worth. The nice guy never understood that. He thought being agreeable was the key. He thought avoiding conflict would earn affection. He thought doing everything right would win her heart, but she didn't want perfection. She wanted strength. She wanted to feel that if she left, you'd still keep rising, because only then can she trust you, and only then can she truly give you what no other man can get: devotion. But that devotion must be earned through dominance, not weakness. You want her to respect you. Stop being the nice guy. Start being the man who can walk. Calvin Reed doesn't sugarcoat it. He says, the man who flinches loses, always. She pushes to see if he breaks. She nags to see if he folds. She argues to test his grip. This isn't cruelty, it's instinct. It's not because she hates you. It's because she needs to know if you can hold the line under pressure. Most men crumble. They raise their voice. They get emotional. They lash out or withdraw. They turn into boys, not men. She sees this, and the respect dies. She may still stay. She may still sleep with him. But something in her goes cold, because if he flinches in a fight, how will he lead in a crisis? If she can rattle him with a glance, how can he protect a future? A man who breaks under her heat isn't safe. He's fragile, and women don't trust fragile. She may coddle him, she may pity him, but she'll never admire him. Reed explains it like this. Her drama is a mirror. If you react, she knows she controls you. If you stay composed, she knows you control yourself. And that is the brutal truth. Women don't want control. They want to feel someone stronger than their storm. Not physically, psychologically. She tests you because she needs to feel your power, not your performance. She needs to see if you hold frame. Can you remain silent when she throws words like daggers? Can you stay present when she cries for attention you know she doesn't deserve? Can you walk away calmly, not to punish, but to protect your sanity? That's where your power is. Not in dominance, not in aggression, but in the man who doesn't flinch, owns himself. And that's the man she trusts. Most men today chase comfort. They avoid confrontation. They fold under feminine pressure. They say yes when they mean no. They apologize to keep the peace. They compromise their backbone just to keep her happy. But the truth is, she's not happy when she gets her way. She's happy when she's with a man who doesn't flinch. Because when you hold your frame, you give her structure. You give her rules. You give her something to orbit around. Without that, she spins into chaos. And that chaos isn't her fault. It's yours for not being the anchor. Reed teaches this. A woman's chaos will either break your mind or sharpen your masculinity. The weak man blames her emotions. The strong man sharpens himself until he's immovable. You think she wants your money? You think she wants your time? She wants your spine? You think she wants attention? She wants a king who doesn't beg for her love? And you can't fake this. She knows when you're pretending. She knows when your calm is a mask. The real test is when your blood is boiling and you still speak like a king. When she's yelling and you're still breathing steady. When she's manipulating and you're still unmoved. Not angry. Not reactive. That doesn't mean being cold, it means being in control. It means being grounded in principle, not emotion. She can scream, but you still choose logic. She can withdraw, but you don't chase. She can disrespect, but you walk, not to win, but to keep your dignity intact. You don't punish, you don't explain, you don't plead. You stand up and walk when the line gets crossed, and you do it without drama. That's rare. That's what women secretly crave, but will never admit. Why? Because if she admitted it, she'd lose the upper hand. She'd have to stop blaming men. She'd have to face her own chaos. But when you stop reacting to that chaos, something shifts in her. She sees a man she can't push, a man she can't control, a man she must respect or leave. And most will choose respect if you give them no other option. But it starts with you. You must become the man who doesn't flinch, not just in relationships, but in life. You don't flinch when the deal falls through. You don't flinch when friends betray you. You don't flinch when life strips you bare, because your value doesn't come from how others treat you. It comes from the fire you've walked through and didn't run from. Reed tells men, she can fall in love with your charm, but she stays in love with your composure. Charm is easy. Composure is rare. Charm gets her attention. Composure earns her trust. Charm makes her smile. Composure makes her submit. But again, submission isn't control. It's a natural response to strength, not force, not threats. And that strength is emotional discipline. Most men are slaves to emotion. They pout, they lash out, they play games. That's not strength. That's weakness in a nice shirt. The strong man walks into fire and doesn't blink, not because he's cold, but because he's clear. Clear on what he stands for. Clear on what he will and won't tolerate. Clear on his path, with or without her. And that's the man who doesn't flinch. He listens without defending. He responds without emotion. He leaves without guilt. And she sees it. She sees he's built different. And in a world of reactive, emotional boys, she finally feels something she forgot she needed. Safety. Not safety from the world. Safety from herself. From her chaos. From her storms. From her tests. Because now she's standing before a man who doesn't move just because she's loud. She's standing before a man who doesn't explain himself to win her favor. She's standing before a man she can follow. Not because he demanded it, but because she has no choice. And that's the brutal truth. If you want her soul, become the man who doesn't flinch. She says she wants kind. She says she wants gentle. She says she wants a man who listens, texts back, and plans date nights. But when she gets him, something shifts. She pulls away. She grows cold. She stops admiring the man she once praised. Because Calvin Reed doesn't lie to men, he breaks the illusion. He says, nice isn't valued, nice is top. Nice is code for not dangerous. And that's the root of the resentment. He's too safe, too easy, too available. He bends to her moods. He worships her beauty. He asks instead of decides, and deep down she feels it. He's not leading. She's in control, and that control breeds contempt. She resents the nice guy not because he's evil, but because he's weak. Not weak in muscle, weak in presence. He apologizes when he shouldn't. He forgives too fast. He accepts her worst behavior and calls it love. That doesn't earn respect. That earns disgust. Reed says it clear. She will never admire the man she walks over. She wants a man who challenges her, not with aggression, not with threats, but with a spine, with standards, with unshakable, with a clear direction that doesn't detour for her tantrums. Nice guys think being agreeable equals being lovable. It doesn't. Agreeableness looks like weakness in the eyes of a woman testing for strength. She throws emotional darts, and he flinches. She crosses a boundary, and he gives her another chance. She ghosts him for a week, and he welcomes her back. He thinks he's being loyal. She sees a man without soul, and that's why she resents him, because she can't trust him to protect her from herself. Reed teaches this. A woman can only respect a man whose no means something. Nice guys don't say no. They fear rejection. They crave approval. They ask, what do you want to eat? Instead of saying, we're going here tonight, they ask, are you okay? Every 10 minutes instead of waiting for her to come to them. They write long paragraphs explaining themselves instead of walking away when disrespected. They seek peace at the cost of power, and in the end, they lose both. She may still call, she may still post pictures with him, she may even marry him, but in the quiet corners of her mind, she knows he's not the man. He's the backup, the guy she keeps until the real man shows up. She resents him because deep down she knows he's wearing a mask. The nice guy isn't nice from abundance, he's nice from fear. Fear of being alone, fear of not being chosen, fear of being labeled toxic. But true masculinity doesn't fear labels. It fears dishonor, and dishonor is what the nice guy lives with. Every time he betrays his own values to keep her, she tests him. She insults him playfully. She withholds affection, and he still stays. Still gives, still praises. That's not loyalty. That's submission. And women do not respect men who submit to them emotionally. They may enjoy the attention, they may use the benefits, but they don't see him as a man to follow. Because she doesn't want to lead the dance. She wants to feel his rhythm. She wants to feel his certainty. She wants to feel like she can lose control, and he'll hold the frame. But the nice guy has no frame. He bends when she yells. He apologizes when he's right. He changes his goals to make her stay. Reed says, the man who trades truth for approval will always be used and never loved. And that's what happens. She uses him, not because she's evil, because he allows it. He lays down at her feet, hoping she'll love him for it. She doesn't, because love doesn't grow where respect is dead, and respect dies when a man erases himself to fit a woman's fantasy. You'll want her desire, then stop trying to be liked, be respected. That means saying no. That means walking away. That means setting standards and enforcing them with action, not threats. It means you lead, and she either follows or exits. No begging, no pleasing, no convincing, just presence. The nice guy is always performing, smiling when he's tired, giving when he's depleted, listening when he wants to speak, and she knows it's fake. She sees the exhaustion in his eyes. She hears the tightness in his voice. She smells the desperation, and that desperation kills attraction. Reed teaches men, a man who doesn't need her earns her loyalty. A man who clings earns her cruelty. She can't admire a man whose world revolves around her, because deep down, she doesn't want to be your son. She wants to orbit you, your mission, your purpose, your strength. But when you make her your purpose, you become empty, and she feels that void. The nice guy has no mission. His mission is make her happy, but her happiness isn't your job. It's a byproduct of your direction. If you lead well, she blooms. If you follow her moods, she wilts. She doesn't want a servant. She wants a sovereign, someone with power, with command, with something sacred to protect, and she wants to be part of that. But the nice guy offers nothing to protect. No mission, no conviction, just comfort. And comfort without strength is useless. She resents the nice guy because he reminds her of her own weakness, her own indecision, her own emotional chaos, and he doesn't anchor her. He joins her in the storm. So she tests harder. She lashes out more. She punishes him emotionally because she's searching for that line he won't let her cross. But he never draws it, and that's why she leaves. Not because he was bad, but because he was never enough. Not enough spine, not enough certainty, not enough man. And that is the brutal truth. Nice isn't noble. Nice is weak when it's not rooted in power. So stop performing. Stand up, say what you mean what you say, and let her feel the man, not the mask. Calvin Reed says it straight. Modern men lost the script. They chased comfort. They obeyed feelings. They bowed to validation. They thought love meant surrender. They believed kindness alone was king. They threw away power and called it progress. But she didn't love them more. Not because they weren't giving, not because they weren't present, because they gave her everything and forgot to keep something for themselves. Dignity, conviction, fire. This is the final truth she'll never admit. She craves a man who remembers who he is, not just for her, not for approval, but because he was born to lead. Reed's message isn't bitterness. It's a call, not to hate women, not to punish them, but to reclaim the weight of being a man. That means being rooted. That means standing firm. That means letting your presence shake the room without raising your voice. You're not here to chase women. You're here to build. Build yourself, build a life. Build a world so solid she can't help but want a place inside it. The man who rises first isn't waiting on her text. He's working, he's creating, he's training. And when she sees him, she knows this man isn't like the rest. He doesn't need her flattery, he doesn't chase, he doesn't fold. He offers a path. She can join, or she can go. Either way, he moves forward. This is masculine redemption. Not in words, in being. The man who reclaims his masculinity stops apologizing for his standards. He demands respect because he gives it to himself first. He honors his body, so she knows she can't manipulate it. He honors his time, so she knows she can't waste it. He honors his mind, so she knows her drama has no home in it. She always does. But the redeemed man doesn't fear the test. He expects it. She throws storms. He stays grounded. She pokes the wound. He doesn't flinch. She pulls away. He doesn't chase. That's strength, not cruelty. The modern man fails because he won't face silence. He avoids solitude. He fills his time with noise, social media, porn, dopamine, distractions. Reed demands the opposite. He says, sit in the silence until you find your voice again. You don't find your strength in the mirror. You find it in the fire. When no one texts back. When she doesn't choose you. When the world forgets your name. That's where you decide who you are. And if you wait for her to approve, you've already failed. Because she's not looking for a boy in need. She's watching for a man who's free. Free from her moods. Free from society's guilt. Free from begging to be seen. She won't say it. She may even deny it. But the man she dreams about doesn't bend to win her love. He stands and lets her rise to reach it. This is not arrogance. This is order. When the masculine stands firm, the feminine finds rest. She lets go. She softens. She trusts. Because he's not swayed. The redeemed man has nothing to prove. He doesn't flex. He doesn't perform. He doesn't peacock. He just is solid, still, grounded. And in that stillness, women either flourish or flee. Reed teaches, the woman who cannot rest in your presence is not yours to carry. That's a hard truth, but freedom lives in it. You don't chase compatibility. You don't mold yourself to fit her preference. You walk your path. If she falls behind, let her. She's not your mission. You are. Your principles, your coat, your discipline. And once you live by that, she sees the man she respects, not a boy desperate to be picked. You're not her project. You're not her therapist. You're not her puppy. You are the frame. And frames do not beg to be filled. They exist and attract what belongs within them. So where do you start? Reed breaks it into 3 truths. 1. Build a life so rich that no woman becomes your escape. Find purpose. Find order. Find sacred silence. 2. Stop over-explaining. Speak once. Speak clearly. And watch who listens. 3. Enforce boundaries without emotion. No arguing. Just distance. She'll test you not because she hates you, but because she needs to know you won't vanish under pressure. And if you collapse every time she cries, she'll lose respect. But if you hold firm with warmth, not ice, not rage, but warmth anchored in truth, she will see you. She will soften. And if she doesn't, then she wasn't meant for you. Let her go. Reclaim your solitude. Because in solitude, the boy dies, and the man is born. The man who doesn't need her flattery. The man who doesn't shrink in rejection. The man who walks with a quiet force that cannot be shaken. She won't admit it. She'll call him arrogant. She'll say he's too much. She'll complain he's emotionally unavailable. But watch her actions. She stays, she follows, she submits, not with fear, but with trust. Because when the masculine leads, the feminine rests. That is the truth no woman will say aloud. But Calvin Reed says it for her. And now, you know it. Subscribe now. Don't miss the next one.